to all the participants that attended our session today. My name is Adib, and on behalf of the LND division, I would like to thank to all of you for voluntarily spending some time from your busy schedule to attend our short training today. So for our short training today, the topic will be interpersonal skills. So how many of you actually heard of this word, interpersonal skills? Seems no one ever heard of it. No worries. So today we have 5 experienced trainers, including me, that will talk on this topic, that we will share some knowledge on how to improve on what are actually interpersonal skills. But before we start, I would like to ask all of you to scan the QR code in your screen right now, just for registration purpose and a record keeping purpose. Alright, thank you. So, let me introduce to you my 4 colleagues that will assist me to present on this topic. First, we have Miss Noraini to start with the introduction of the program, and then we move on to Miss Almeida. She will share to you about how to actually improve your interpersonal skills. Then Miss Iman will continue on the communication skills involved in interpersonal skills. Also, we have Miss Nabila. She will talk about the non-verbal communication skills, and also end by me. I will talk about on the challenges in interpersonal skills nowadays. Without further ado, I'll pass this session to Miss Noraini to start the training. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adib. Let's start with introduction. What is interpersonal skill? Interpersonal communication is the process of face-to-face exchange of thought, idea, feeling, and emotion between 2 or more people. A personal interaction includes both verbal and non-verbal elements. Interpersonal skills are behavior and traits you rely on when communicating and building relationship with others. Often called people skills, they tend to incorporate both your innate personality traits and how you learn to handle personal interaction in social situations. You can't claim that I'm bad at this or I'm not a people person, because as a person, this is basic. The ability to establish trust and communicate in an appropriate, accurate, and clear way is one of the finest ways to achieve your goals. Signs. Here are listed 5 signs of high interpersonal skill. First, strong communication skill. This is the most fundamental because it encompasses your persona and ability to get along with others' colleagues, pursue others, to listen to your idea, and much more. Second, patience with others. The ability to be patient with others and maintain composure under pressure will be observed by management and view you as a very strong asset. Third, knowing how and when to show empathy. Having the ability to place yourself in someone else's shoes is a key allow you to create relationship with others, provide insight into people's motive, and allow you to predict response. Fourth, the ability to keep an open mind. You probably need to pursue others to buy your idea, goods, or service at some time in your professional life. You must be able to construct a powerful, persuading argument in whatever you are doing. Lastly, a great sense of humor. Who doesn't enjoy laughing? It's a great diffuser of tension and conflict. If you can jam the system of tension or routine with levity, you will thrive in your job. 5 signs of low interpersonal skill. First, exhibiting lack of self-awareness. If your default response to a threat is to get defensive, deflect, or act in a passive-aggressive manner, you may be displaying lack of self-awareness as an aspiring influencer or present leader within your company. Next, exhibiting lack of awareness to others. Typically, you don't comprehend the motivation behind other people's action. You don't pick up on emotional clues, and you don't feel at easy in social setting. Then, exhibiting poor interpersonal communication. You may be experiencing a communication issue if you frequently utilize the following strategy for communication. Directive and general assertion, for instance, are indicator of poor interpersonal communication. Expression that negatively characterize someone's personality or behavior are known as universal statements. After that, exhibiting lack of awareness toward group dynamic. People often take on distinct rules and behavior when they were in a group. In a group with poor group dynamics, people behavior disrupt work. And finally, exhibiting lack of awareness toward distinction among people across different generational cohort, professional discipline, and diverse culture. By this, you can create a sense of division among workers and fall into cliquish behavior that make it hard to create a sense of teamwork and unity. Thank you for your attention. Next, pass to Miss Amida to continue our session.
Thank you, Ms. Nawani. Before I go through the talk about how to improve interpersonal skill, let me say what is interpersonal skill in the business world. Interpersonal skill that can refer to an employer ability to work well with others. Interpersonal skill range for communication and listening to attitude and department. Interpersonal skill help us to interact with others, be more effectively at work and in the leisure world. It also can improve team with practice, expressing appreciation, resolving dispute, and listening well are interpersonal skill while practicing. Interpersonal skill in the workplace. Interpersonal skills strongly linked to a knowledge of social expectation and custom. People with the most vital interpersonal skill adjust their tactic and communication on the fly depending on the reaction of others. Strong interpersonal skills such as networking, problem solving, and knowledge sharing are the main requirements for many jobs. Other skills are seen as international qualification for all employers, including teamwork, require writing communication, dependability, responsibility, and empathy. Most jobs are not instantly or require interaction between many individuals within a firm. It can be college or your level or those with higher role in the firm, such as a managing director or CEO. Strong interpersonal skill will allow for more effectivity in getting tasks done and done correctly, all for the betterment of the company. Having poor interpersonal skill can be a detriment at a firm and holding on to a position. People want to work with individuals they like and whose personality improve their workday. Having strong interpersonal skill only help. How to improve interpersonal skill? First, control your emotion. Second, cultivate a positive outlook. 3. Show a genuine interest in your college. 4. Practice empathy. 5. Maintain your relationship. 6. Find one good trait in every good worker. 7. Be assertive. 8. Acknowledge other experiences. 9. Practice active listening. The way to improve your interpersonal skill is to practice them every day in your daily activity, whether at work, home, or in social situation. Remember that this skill is essentially a relationship skill you use to get along with others. When you notice someone who uses this skill well, you may observe them as they put them to work and try to emulate their behavior as you practice. I will pass the mic to Ms. Nurul Iman.
Thank you, Ms. Almida. Communication skills. I'm going to present to you a test that is related to communication skills, which is this personality test. Okay, let me explain first what is this. This is a personality test that lets you determine your DISC type and personality profile quickly. DISC is an acronym that stands for the four main personality profile described in the DISC model, which is dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. People with D personality tend to be confident and place an emphasis on accomplishing bottom-line results. They are confident, sometimes blunt, outspoken, and very demanding. A person with I personality emphasizes on influencing or persuading others. They tend to be enthusiastic, optimistic, open, trusting, and energetic. People with S personality tend to be dependable and place emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. They tend to have calm, deliberate dispositions and don't like to be rushed. A person with C personality emphasizes on quality and accuracy. expertise, and competency. They enjoy their independence, demand the details, and often fear being wrong. Everything this also measure priorities, providing more nuance and memorable feedback in profiles. Now, let me share to you how to improve communication skills, specifically communication and emotional intelligence, or you can call it EI. One of the most important aspects to good communication is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is different from IQ. First, EI predicts much of life success, much more than IQ in fact. According to Daniel Goleman, a researcher on EI, there are 5 main aspects or domains to EI. The first one is knowing your emotion, managing your emotion, motivating yourself, recognizing and understanding other people's emotion, and managing relationship. First, let's discuss knowing your emotion. If we don't know about how we feel about something, it can be difficult to communicate. It may seem obvious to know what we are feeling from moment to moment, but oftentimes we don't. How we feel impact our body language as well as our verbal communication. The second one is managing your emotion. For example, if you recognize that you are tired and a bit cranky, your awareness of this emotion allows you to manage them. The third aspect of EI is motivating yourself. Goes without saying, in a management or human resource role, this is the key not only to career success but also to personal success. The last 2 domains of EI revolve around being able to see and understand emotions in other people, which in turn can benefit the relationship. Emotional intelligence allows us to work better with people, understand them, and communicate with them. Next, I will pass the session to Miss Nabila.
Thank you, Ms. Nurul Iman. Now, I want to show you a video about nonverbal communication.
Alice works at a local department store. She spends most of her day interacting with customers and coworkers. There's a lot of talking involved, but there's also another form of nonverbal communication that's being used just as often. Body language. Body language is the process of communicating through nonverbal signals. It includes things like our posture, facial expressions, gestures, and more. The meanings of these all vary from culture to culture, but we instinctively read body language and interpret it as some expression of moods, feelings, or intentions. So, in Alice's case, even before she speaks, she may be communicating all kinds of things to customers. For example, if her arms are crossed and she's avoiding eye contact, customers may not find her to be very approachable. However, Alice could be in a friendly mood, even though her body language suggests otherwise. And this isn't necessarily a conscious choice that she's made. This could just be how she habitually presents herself. But if Alice is aware of these habits, she can work on improving her body language. Changing your habits can be difficult, but if you take time to pause and check in with yourself, you can start to notice them and adjust things to become a better nonverbal communicator. This awareness can also be applied to reading others' body language. Let's say Alice notices that her coworker is unusually quiet, has his body turned away from her, and is slouched over. She may pick up that he's upset, or that there's an unspoken issue at hand. Depending on Alice's relationship with him, she may want to give him some space, or ask if anything's wrong. Being aware of the various aspects of body language can make all the difference in how people perceive you and how you perceive them. Be aware of how you present yourself, and you can say a lot without speaking.
Okay, so now I will explain more on nonverbal communication. What is nonverbal communication? Nonverbal communication, also called manual language, is the process of sending and receiving messages without using words, either spoken or written. Similar to the way that italicizing emphasizes written language, nonverbal behavior may emphasize parts of a verbal message. There are 8 types of nonverbal communication. First, facial expressions. The human face is extremely expressive, able to convey countless emotions without saying a word. And unlike some forms of nonverbal communication, facial expressions are universal. The facial expressions for happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust are the same across cultures. Secondly, body language and posture. Consider on how your perceptions of people are affected by the way they sit, walk, stand, or hold their head. The way you move and carry yourself communicates a wealth of information to the world. This type of nonverbal communication includes your posture, bearing, stance, and the subtle movements you make. The third one is gesture. Deliberate movements and signals are an important way to communicate meaning without words. Two common gestures include waving, pointing, and using fingers to indicate numeric amounts. Other gestures are arbitrary and related to culture. Fourth, eye contact. Since the visual sense is dominant for most people, eye contact is an especially important type of nonverbal communication. The way you look at someone can communicate many things, including interest, affection, hostility, or attraction. Eye contact is also important in maintaining the flow of conversation and for gauging the other person's interest and response. The next one is touch. Communicating through touch is another important nonverbal behavior. Touch can be used to communicate affection, familiarity, sympathy, and other emotions. The next one is space. Have you ever felt uncomfortable during a conversation because the other person was standing too close and invading your space? We all have a need for physical space, although that need differs depending on the culture, the situation, and the closeness of the relationship. You can use physical space to communicate many different nonverbal messages, including signals of intimacy and affection, aggression, or dominance. Next, appearance. Our choice of color, clothing, hairstyles, and other factors affecting appearance are also considered a means of nonverbal communication. Research on color psychology has demonstrated that different colors can evoke different moods. Appearance can also alter physiological reactions, judgments, and interpretations. And the last one is voice or paralinguistics, which refers to vocal communication that is separate from actual language. This includes factors such as tone of voice, loudness, inflection, and pitch. Consider the powerful effect that tone of voice can have on the meaning of a sentence. When said in a strong tone of voice, listeners might interpret approval and enthusiasm. The same word said in a hesitant tone of voice might convey disapproval and a lack of interest. That's all from me. So now I will pass the mic to Mr. Adib to continue the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nabila, for the great presentation on the interpersonal skills. Well, what do you think? What do you guys think of this topic actually? Anything that you think that you can apply in the daily life? How about the DISC? Maybe you can try to group your colleagues or maybe your supervisors on which group they are in, whether they are D, whether they are I, S, or C. So you can find the best way to communicate with them. Or maybe how about the how to improve your interpersonal skills by Miss Almeida? Well, you can start something small and it gradually will become a habit for sure, and it really will improve your interpersonal skills. So let me conclude this training today. Interpersonal skill is actually something very important, even though most of the people nowadays actually taken it lightly. Why? Because they thought this is something that can learn by themselves, or maybe they can learn just by doing their daily activity. Well, yes, I admit you can learn by that. However, how many mistakes can happen before you fully learn? How many misunderstandings? How many miscommunication? So we want to decrease all this kind of thing, to create a more harmonized work environment, right? To get rid of this toxic culture of misunderstanding and miscommunication. Well, this is actually will increase your work productivity and help the organization as well. There are some challenges to do this online training. Well, first actually is on the communication skills. It's hard for you and me, even though I can speak and you can listen to what I'm saying, but there are one thing lack, which is the non-verbal communication skills. yes, I can hear and I can listen to you, but I'm not sure I can't see your body language, whether you are maybe bored with this training, you are not focusing, especially some of you even close your camera, so I can't see anything. I'm not even aware if you are still there or not. So that is one of the challenges. The second challenges would be on the creativity side. Right, as a trainer, we have to be very creative on our presentation to ensure the participants are not boring. We want to attract the attention all the time, especially if it's a one-day training. How actually our creativity to get your attention from start of the training and end of the day. There are some tools that we can use online, such as maybe Canva to create a very creative presentation, or maybe some activity by using some apps called Slido. And other things as well. So there are some of the challenges that we face for this communication. So hopefully we can move on with our physical training that this pandemic is over. Now I will share with you on the challenges of doing online training. Well, the biggest one would be for me is the technical part, where imagine you are delivering a training and all of a sudden your video froze, or your participant actually complain that your voice is breaking. Well, and you cannot sure whether is it your laptop is the problem, or your Wi-Fi connection, or your apps itself, or even maybe it's the participant side of the laptop and also internet connection. So how actually you want to solve this issue? First of all, you have to be prepared. Maybe as a trainer, maybe you can do a pre-ride before the actual training day, and also you need to keep on informing your participants before joining the session. Please make sure they are in a very capable environment to attend an online training. For example, like making sure their laptop is okay, or they have a strong Wi-Fi signal. Second is the interaction between the trainer and the participant. Learning from home can be convenient, however, it also can be a very isolating experience. Well, most of the participants usually put feedback that being left out of the training. Well, actually, depends on the trainer that they have to engage with the participant. Alright, so have to create a social learning environment. Maybe do some activity from the beginning of the training, such as ice breaking, and then up until the end of the training. Always invite them for maybe a forum, or a knowledge sharing, or an opinion sharing session. Alright, so that is actually some of the challenges that we face nowadays. Hopefully by our sharing, it actually will help all other trainers out there. So I would like to open a Q&A sessions to all the staff for us trainers. If there's anything that maybe we went too fast, or something that you don't understand, you can just shoot, or maybe you can just drop on the chat box on the comment on your question, and we will try to answer it. Maybe we give a few seconds for you to think of it. What are the questions you wanted? Well, seems there's no question from the audience, so I think that's all. We will end our training session today on the interpersonal skills. But before we actually end the session, appreciate if you can scan the QR code on your screen right now, just for some evaluation of a future improvement that we will be sharing our knowledge again on this. There's a few topics that we already planned out for the upcoming training. Alright, so I think that's all from us. In conclusion, interpersonal skills is actually something is very important, though it sounds not so important. You know, some people will think, oh, I'm doing this in our daily life, so I'm good at it. No, you have to take it seriously, because we want to create a very harmonized work environment in our organization. Alright, so I think that's all from me, and on behalf of my team, Ms. Noraini, Ms. Almida, Ms. Iman, and Ms. Nabila, we would like to thank you to all participants that attend today's training. See you and have a nice day.